Baba today tells us some very important things. Of course, Baba's Murli is full of everything important. But then, first thing that comes to my mind is Baba tells us that I should know that nobody can force me. Every soul should know that nobody can force you. Nobody can force you about anything. Do we know that? Because we have been conditioned to believe that other people can force us. And when you believe that, then they can force you. Now you see, there is this expression, right? This expression exists that somebody forced me into doing this, or into making this choice, or into saying this, or into choosing this. If there is an expression of this kind that is used in the world, that means that people believe that you can be forced into doing something or into not doing something. But Baba says you should know that nobody can ever force you into doing anything, or nobody can ever force you into stopping you from doing something. And every soul is the master of their mind, intellect, their actions, and their destiny. And when you don't listen to somebody, then there is a price you pay. And everything comes with a price, and freedom definitely comes with a great price. You know what is the most costly in this world? Freedom. So if you have to be free, you have to pay the price. And if you ask me, I have understood that when you want to be free to do what Baba says, then you have to pay the price of your attachment, your ego, your vices. Because it is these vices, that make you feel that you can be forced by somebody. You can be forced by, so some people will try to force you by saying, I will soil your reputation. Yes, so that is, and if you are bound by ego, what is ego? False reputation. So ego is, when you have the illusion that how other people perceive you defines who you are, and you are very concerned about keeping up that image. I'm not saying you shouldn't be concerned about image. You should be. But then not when it costs you what you really believe in. So it is not a good idea to just go on challenging people that I'm not concerned about what you think about me. But then if it comes to, if that keeping up of your image clashes with what you really believe in, when you believe in doing something or believe in not doing something, and what do we children believe in and not believe in? That which Baba says and that which Baba says not to do. So when it comes to having a clash between that, then don't care about anything. and choose what Baba says. But if you are very concerned about your reputation, if you're very egoistic, then somebody will force you, because they will threaten you that we will soil your reputation. And this is one kind of, so if you want to be free, you have to know first is knowledge that you can make your choice. So most people in the world are made to believe that you cannot make your choices. But Baba comes and tells us that no, you are a soul and you are responsible for your destiny, and you can make the choices that you want to make, and nobody can force you. And then, second thing is attachment. So I will give you an example that there was this one Mata, and when she decided to choose celibacy, then her husband, he said, I will call the whole village and talk about the fact that your heart is not with me and you are choosing to remain celibate because you have other plans with other men, and I will soil your reputation if you don't give in to this my demand for lust. Then that Mata said, you do whatever you want. And then the husband didn't do anything. So the thing is, when people try to force you, if you believe you can be forced, you will be forced. But if you know you cannot be forced, anybody can do anything, but they can't force you for anything. And if you are okay with anything that anybody does, and you stick to that you do whatever you want, but I will not budge from this, then nobody can do anything to you. So this is the thing that you should know. First thing is knowledge. And then second thing is knowing that why somebody can force their opinion or their directions on us, or their demands and expectations on us, is because of our own weaknesses of vices. And you see, if you are attached to somebody and you are hurt when they are hurt, then you will do everything to not hurt them. And that is, and even when they tell you to do something wrong, or they stop you from doing something that makes sense to you, you will give in to that because of your own attachment. And if you really know that I am the master of my choices and destiny, and you do not give in to force, then nobody can force you. And then there is, Baba says, whatever choices you want to make according to Srimad, then Baba is with you, and you can also take the support of local authorities and they will help you. You can take the support of the police or anything and they will also help you. But I don't think that you will even need human support. If you just know that nobody can force you, you cannot be forced. And I don't know whether really society has changed or not, but I feel that sometimes situations are not the same these days. These days, when you put your foot down, it sends out a very clear signal. And when you put your foot down, you can give that signal that I will not be forced into this and I will do what matters to me. I will tell you one incident that happened in my experience. So there was this one, when I was working in office, so there was this one girl who was hired on contractual employment. And then the person who had hired her was exploiting her. so physically. So then this girl, she used to have lunch with us, and then I saw that she used to keep very quiet. And then I told her, why do you keep so quiet? What's wrong with you? Then she said, no, there's nothing wrong. And then it took some time for her to build that trust. And later she confided that she was being exploited. So then I told her, but he is exploiting you because he knows you can be exploited. So I cannot save you, but you have to first know that nobody can exploit you. So then she said, but he can, because he gave me this job, and if I don't listen to him, then I will lose the job. So I said, okay, no problem, you will lose the job. But you are getting paid because you work. You are not getting paid because he hired you. So he hired you for work, you're working. So why do you have to care about losing the job? Just don't mind anything, don't compromise here. But you have to know that you can make this choice. And then she said, he will make sure I never find a job anywhere else. So I said, let him do whatever he wants, but you should know that still not giving in to his demands is your choice. And if you don't know that, then I can save you from one person, but another person will exploit you. So then I had to, every day, give her the lesson of the soul and, karma and destiny and everything. And then later, one day, she was so slowly, gradually, she came to that place where she was quite convinced that her body is her right and nobody can touch her without permission. And when she came to know that, then the person never touched her. So when she came to know that, then her body language was so clear and so, assertive, that she was sitting in that same room, and that fellow, he came to know that if I did anything, she would make a hue and cry about it. And she said that that point never happened. She said, if I shout, will you come? So I said, you will not need to shout. So she just, when you know that nobody can force you, then nobody forces you. This is the law. But this is about, a very, an external incident, this is about somebody other than who you are attached to. So this is about greed. But when we talk about ego and attachment, they are huge, and especially lust. So if you have a lustful relationship with somebody, then, Baba always tells us that lust kills the soul. So, whatever sensibility or whatever power is there in the soul, whatever power to discern or decide or, be assertive or do what makes sense to you, whatever is there, the power of the intellect, the power of the mind, it gets burnt when you enter into lust. And when you have a lustful relationship with somebody, or in general you have not given up lust, then you cannot have the power to stop anybody to, from forcing you. So this is why when we are free from vices, when we we adopt a life of purity, when we walk on Srimad, then the soul awakens its latent powers, that yes, I have a choice about my thoughts, my mind, my intellect, my body, my resources, everything. And you see, there is so much exploitation of every kind, whether it is emotional exploitation, and let me tell you, that's the biggest one, which you don't even know. So, people are exploiting, so people are controlling your life absolutely, because you and the method is emotional exploitation. So, I'm concerned about you and I care for you, and don't you care enough to listen to me? And what kind of bad behavior is this? And all of these things, these are forms of exploitation. And when something makes sense to you, then you will be free. When something makes sense to you, then you have to be so free from this clutch of emotional, financial, physical, and every kind of exploitation to pursue really what matters to you. And Baba says every person should know, and Baba gives the example of Kumaris. When you're young and you don't want to get married and parents force you, then you can always say that, no, this is my life and I don't want to get married and I want to belong to Baba. But there is a lot of emotional exploitation that happens, and then you are forced into believing that giving into your parents' wishes is your far utmost duty. But no, you have to be, the first duty of the soul is staying true to yourself and your qualities, staying true to your eternal parent, that's Baba. And when something comes in the way of that, then you have to have clarity that nobody can force you. So this is something that Baba tells us. And I think, 99.9% in the people in the world don't know that they can't be forced. I will tell you one thing. There was this one brother, and he told me something that sounds very strange, but it's a problem with many people. He said that if somebody asks me for money for 20 times, I feel forced to give that money to him, and especially if he's a friend. And all his friends had taken money from him and never returned. And do you know what was the total amount of the money he had given to his friends? It was to the tune of 4.5 crores. And everybody, each of them took, somebody 30 lakhs, somebody 35 lakhs, and he was rich. But then it was to this tune that he had lent out money, and nobody ever returned it, and he couldn't say no. And then I had to give him a lot of, sessions about this fact that you can say no when somebody asks you for money. And only when he started meditating, started remembering Baba, that this thing dawned upon him. Because if you don't know something, you don't know. And it takes a lot of time for you to come to that place of realization where you know that it is your right to say no somewhere. And this conditioning is so deep that you cannot say no to somebody about your own body, about your own choices, your own feelings, your own thoughts, your own resources. And Baba says that now you have to understand that you belong to Baba and everything that you have belongs to Baba. So, in order to make that choice, you have to know that nobody can force you to choose otherwise. And then, second thing Baba today says is don't be greedy. Because, what is greed? So, the simple definition of greed is when you have the habit of consuming or hoarding more than you actually need. So, greed is a habit just like every other sanskar. So, you develop any sanskar by engaging in an action repeatedly. So, how do you create this sanskar of greed? So, when you repeatedly, think, believe, and act in a manner where you you believe that you need more than you actually need. So you start consuming more than you actually need, whether it is food, whether it is resources, whether it is money, whether it is luxury, comforts. There is one person, and he told me that I need a big house. I cannot live in a small place. So I said, how many family members are you? He said, I'm alone. So I said, why do you need a big house? So he said, it's just the way I have been living, and I cannot live in a small house. So I said, then you must learn how to live in a small house, because you are already 70 plus, and then why do you need to maintain such a big house and take the headache of all that maintenance and everything? You can live in a small house. And he said, no sister, please don't go there, I cannot, and I really beg your pardon, I can listen to everything, but I cannot. So you see that these things, when you condition yourself into deeply believing that you need more than you actually need, that is greed. So that is why, what is greed for one person is need for the other. And when I tell that brother that it's not what you need, it's your greed, he says, no, it's my need. I'm used to this. So it's not something that you're just telling somebody that I'm not greedy, but if you have created those habits, then you confuse between your needs and greed. And then, you think that you need more than others, but nobody needs more than others. What does anybody need? 2 meals a day. These days, 3 meals also you don't need. 2 meals a day, because we are not working only, we're not even using our physical bodies. So what do you need? 2 meals a day. You need very simple food, very simple living. You don't need more than that. But then we have spoiled our habits so much that we deeply believe that we need more than we actually need. And Baba says, don't train yourself into this greed, because you see, if you train yourself like that, if you condition yourself like that, then you will need a lot, and then you will spend a lot of time, energy, effort, thoughts into acquiring all of that. For what? Just for survival in this old world. And there are so many people, who have such great cost of living, and they have so much, they have to spend so much just to survive. Physical survival is such a big issue because of this greed. Otherwise, physical survival is not such a big thing. In this day and age, when there are so many facilities and there is professional, help and everything, you don't need to hoard everything, accumulate everything and keep for yourself. But this is a habit that we create, and because of that, you spend so many resources, you live your life in fear and anxiety. What if this system collapses? What if that happens? How will I survive? How will I live? Yes, so when COVID came, you see, people had this thought that how will I live without the maid servant coming home or the cook coming home? But the interesting thing is, you are a soul, you have hands, you can clean the place you live in or cook the food that you eat for the body. But then, if you have expanded your needs in such great ways that the lines between greed and need have blurred, then you will be afraid and anxious about these things. And then, when there is greed, it will be exploited also. And where there is greed, there is fear of losing the infrastructure that you have or the lifestyle that you have. and then anybody can force you, into doing something that you don't do, that your intellect says you shouldn't do, or giving into undue demands because you want to maintain that lifestyle. Yes, and I always give this example. There was this one Mata, and then when she went to Madhuban, she wanted a single room, and she couldn't be given a single room because there are no single rooms in Madhuban. The lowest you have is a double room, right? So that's the highest you can get. It's just a double room. So, and then she told me that she cannot live in a double room, and she didn't enjoy her stay in Baba's home. She has love for Baba, do you know? And she still said that she couldn't enjoy her stay because she was not given a single room. And then I told her that, because you told me this, I will, from today, I will include in my thoughts that I should never be in a position that I develop such habits that do not allow me to enjoy myself in Baba's home. So, just think about how much that habit cost her. That just because she had conditioned herself into so much physical comfort and so much of this idea of physical space, that she couldn't enjoy her stay in Baba's home. And if we create our sanskars like this, then it would become very difficult for us to walk on the spiritual path. So Baba says that keep your needs very limited. Baba doesn't tell us to not use resources, but every resource that is there, it shouldn't become your need. You shouldn't start missing it. You can use it while it's there, but do not create a habit of it. So Baba always says that I give you sadhan, I give you resources, but never make your sadhana a substitute for sadhana. So sadhana or our link of love with Baba or our remembrance of Baba is the foundation of my life. I am happy because I am in remembrance of Baba. And no availability or unavailability of any facility can take away that happiness from me. So my happiness is founded on my relationship with Baba. And when something is available, Baba doesn't say don't use it. Use it, but make sure that you don't get so attached to it that if that facility is not available, you cannot remember Baba, or you start thinking about that facility. So this is also about need and greed that Baba talks about. Then Baba today tells us that it is our duty, the duty of we children, to keep remembering our story of 84 births and to share the path of liberation and liberation in life to everybody. Do you think that's your occupation? So Baba says that is your occupation. Everything else that you do is on the side. This is your main occupation. And your main occupation is to be concerned about thinking about your journey of 84 births. And when you keep churning on that journey, then it gives you a lot of power, because the more you move your intellect towards your time in the soul world, your time in the deity world, your time as a worship-worthy deity, it invokes that latent sanskars of those times inside you. So you have many folders inside. You have the folder of the memory when you were in the soul world. You have another folder of the memory of when you were in Satyug, and then another folder of the memory of when you were in Treta Yuga. And you have all these folders, and whenever you remember that, then you're clicking on that folder. And that folder, when it gets unlocked, it brings with it, or the sanskars of those births are also inside that folder, and those sanskars emerge. And our main occupation at this time is to help ourselves by emerging those powerful sanskars by using the method of shifting our consciousness to those times when we had those sanskars. So Baba says this is one business you have at this time. Second is, you keep telling everybody how to remember Baba and go back to the soul world, go back to their sweet home, and go back to that world of happiness and peace and beauty. So Baba says, giving everybody this knowledge or showing everybody the path and remembering your story of 84 births, this is your occupation. And Baba gives a very interesting example of a grocer. Baba says, if somebody is a grocer, he is the owner of a grocery shop, then even when he is not in his shop, he will keep thinking about the shop. Yes, keep thinking about, what is to be filled, what is to be bought, what stock has to be replenished, what money has to be taken from somebody. So it is always on his mind. Your occupation is always on your mind. And Baba says, when you have this occupation of remembering your 84 births and giving this knowledge of the path of Mukti, Jivan Mukti to everybody, then Baba says your mind and intellect should be consumed in this all day. So Baba says you keep doing whatever you want, your engagements of this life will go on, but then your intellect should be busy in this. Keep thinking about how I will introduce Gyan to anybody. What points should I say? How should I start the conversation? How should I give Baba's introduction? And keep remembering your time as a deity, your time in the soul world, and keep your mind and intellect busy in this. So this is also something Baba says today. And then Baba today tells us that, Baba says that there are many subtle matters that one has to understand. And one such subtle matter is that Satyug is called the land of immortality, Amar Lok. But Baba says, when we hear the word immortal, we think that the soul wouldn't leave the body. But Baba says the soul leaves the body in Satyug. But there is not the experience of death, because the experience of death happens because of two reasons. One is body consciousness, which means you are attached to the body. You think you are the body. So leaving the body means end of life. So you see, when you are soul conscious, leaving the body is just leaving the body. You will leave one body, take another. But when you think you are the body, then leaving the body means dying, means end of life. So because we are soul conscious in Satyug, leaving the body is not exaggerated as death. It's just leaving the body, leaving one costume, taking another. And second reason why death is such a big thing is because Death happens untimely. Just imagine if you were born into a world where you knew when you would leave the body and take another. And right from birth, you know that. And death is not an uncertain affair. You don't leave the body untimely or, all of a sudden. Then it wouldn't be a problem because everybody leaves the body at the same time. And when it's time, I'll leave the body, take another body. So in Satyug, both these things happen. A, you're soul conscious. You don't think you're the body. You know you are a soul. You are leaving the costume, taking another. B, you don't leave the body uncertainly and without notice. You know when you will leave the body right since birth. And then everybody leaves it at the same time. So there is no uncertainty or suddenness attached to it. So this is why we will leave the body in the age of immortality in Amarlok, but there will be no experience of death. It will be just an experience of change of costume. And that is why Satyug is called the land of immortality. Okay? Om Shanti.